He was a movie star, a war hero, and the face of Vault Tech. To the world, Cooper Howard was the clean-cut All-American. So, how did he become the Ghoul? A scarred, cynical bounty hunter drifting through the wreckage of a world he was such a big part of. It's in the first season of Fallout's TV series that we're shown what happens when the world falls apart, how even the most polished heroes can be twisted by war, survival, and guilt. To understand the Ghoul, you first have to understand the man beneath the monster. Let's get into it. Part 1. Who was Cooper Howard? Before he was the Ghoul, Cooper Howard was the face of pre-war America. He was a B-list Hollywood actor best known for his patriotic westerns and Vault Tech advertisements. To the public, he was the idealized image of what an American man should be. Confident, optimistic, and unquestioning of his loyalty to the nation. In his films, he gunned down evildoers and fought for freedom. His Vault Tech adverts sold the fantasy of a brighter tomorrow, a safer one. Not only that, but Cooper was also a soldier, a veteran of the Anchorage Reclamation. He served in America's most high-profile military operation. He had a family, a career, and a place in the spotlight. He was the kind of man that folks viewed as a symbol of stability. He showed that everything was under control, even as the world moved ever closer towards a nuclear annihilation. He was the All-American. And that's where the story of Cooper Howard begins. He was a soldier, a father, an actor, and ultimately, another example of how the world of Fallout turns man to monster. Part 2. The Fall. Cooper Howard's perfect life didn't collapse all at once. It was a slow fall from grace, and it simply started with his own curiosity. During a casual hangout with fellow actor and Army veteran Charlie Whiteknife, the two get into a conversation about Vault Tech. Charlie manages to persuade Cooper that Vault Tech isn't exactly what it seems, that what they promise might not be what they're after. His curiosity gets the better of him. This conversation convinced Cooper to go to one of these secretive Hollywood meetings. It was there that Miss Williams managed to convince Cooper to plant a listening device on his wife while she was in a meeting with Vault Tech and other corporate executives. During this meeting, Cooper learns the truth behind the company. They never genuinely cared about saving American lives. They wanted to sell vaults, experiment on people, and if necessary, start nuclear war themselves. This shattered Cooper's reality. Vault Tech, the company he once proudly represented, wasn't patriotic at all. His wife, who he thought was a caring person, was actually quite callous. This great American life was a great American lie. And that's where Cooper Howard's pre-war story in the show comes to an end. We kind of have to piece together the other 219 years between pre-war and the events of the show. What we do know is that Cooper Howard's life unraveled fairly quickly after learning the truth. Cooper and Barb divorced. Vault Tech shifted their mascot away from Cooper Howard himself to Vault Boy, using the same poses. And Hollywood, likely under Vault Tech's influence, turned its back on him. His fame had dried up. Once a household name, he was now just a washed-up actor performing at children's birthday parties to pay his alimony. Then came the bombs. When the Great War began, he was with his daughter Janie, but somehow they got separated. Cooper managed to survive the Great War, but it came at a cost. Radiation took its toll, and Cooper turned ghoul. Wandering the wasteland, he became something else. Hardened by time and necessity, Cooper turned to bounty hunting. Killing for caps kept him alive, while he quietly searched for his missing family. Over the decades, he lost his name as well. Cooper Howard was dead, and all that was left was the Ghoul, a feared and notorious mercenary. His transformation was complete. He turned from patriot to pariah, from celebrity to castaway, from man to monster. And in that sense, Cooper Howard's story is Fallout. Time and time again, the world of Fallout takes reasonable people and turns them into monsters. Part 3, Fallout's favorite trope. While the specifics of Cooper Howard's story is unique, it's far from unusual in the world of Fallout. All across the wasteland, people change. Sometimes it's a physical change, other times it's a moral change, and sometimes it's both. Ghouls like Cooper are the most obvious example. Ordinary people caught in a blast, exposed to radiation, and slowly rotting. If they're lucky, they keep their minds. If they're not, they go feral, becoming little more than animals that grunt and claw in the dark. And even the ones who don't lose their minds still lose their place in the world. Not many folks are too kind to ghouls. Then we have the supermutants, the products of twisted science. Created through forced exposure to FEV, these hulking creatures were once human too. Now they're strong, crazed, and far from the humans that they once were. Many have forgotten who they were even, and only a few remember just enough to endlessly suffer. But these sorts of transformations don't always come from some forced chemical process. Sometimes it's a choice. Many raiders across the wasteland weren't born monsters. They were the product of desperation, violence, and the unrelenting reality of what is needed to survive the wasteland. Over time, the morals that they once had get stripped away, and cruelty becomes a habit. You see it in other creatures too. Once common animals, many creatures in the wasteland are now mutated beyond recognition. Giant bugs, two-headed cows, chameleon turned apex predator. The monsters we see in Fallout aren't these random agents of chaos. They're things that were once familiar to you and I. And it's this idea of transformation that is one of Fallout's biggest tropes. Part 4, Why Fallout Does This. While Fallout explores plenty of themes, a major part of the games is the human aspect. What happens to people when the world ends? These transformations we see from man to monster act as a commentary on war, a commentary on survival, and a commentary on how easily a person's identity can change when society is no more. Cooper Howard was a war hero, a father, a public figure. He stood for something. And in the end, none of it really mattered. None of it protected him or his family. The bombs fell and everything was burned away. And what ultimately survived wasn't the man, it wasn't Cooper Howard. It was what the world had forced him to become. It was the ghoul. And that's a massive point that Fallout keeps circling back to. You know, I may not like him all too much, but Ulysses was kinda spitting when he said that war never changes, but men do through the roads they walk. And he's right. The truth is that people do change. They break, they give in, or they adapt. Fallout's RPG elements only further reinforce this, turning a vital question back onto you, the player. Who would you become if the world ended? If the systems you trusted turned their back on you? If survival meant crossing lines that you never thought you'd have to cross? And there are no clean answers. Fallout really likes to test the morality of the player and its characters. And that's honestly why Fallout leans so heavily on this theme of transformation and how the wasteland changes you. It's not only a storytelling device, but also a warning, a reminder that many monsters aren't born, they're made. Cooper Howard didn't choose to become the ghoul. The world did. Like so many in Fallout, he was broken down, stripped of everything, and rebuilt into something wholly unrecognizable. But there's still a man buried beneath the monster. And maybe that's the real horror in Fallout. It's not the creatures or the radiation or the bombs. Rather, it's who we, the people, become when we have nothing left. That's all from me today, folks. If you liked the video, be sure to share and subscribe. Is the ghoul more man or more monster? Join the Discord. Have a good rest of your day. Cheers.
I'm sorry, dog meat, but you ain't him.